Mercedes SLS AMG. The latest super sports car to wear the classic three-point star. A car built with one of the most iconic features in the automotive world. Gull-wing doors. The SLS is built by hand. Nearly 2 full days for final assembly of one car. They spend hours just making the gull-wing doors fit and work perfectly. And it all happens here, inside a Mercedes-Benz Ultimate Factory. To be a world-class sports car, the Mercedes SLS needs to overcome 2 contradictions. It needs to be light, but it also needs to be strong. The solution is to build a radical new body and frame, unlike anything Mercedes has ever built. They build the car almost entirely out of aluminum. The only steel is the windshield frame, used to provide extra protection for the passenger compartment should the car crash. The SLS frame and chassis weighs just 531 pounds. And light means fast. When they finish the chassis, a technician uses 2 joysticks to control a computerized pointer that checks all the critical measurements of the frame. This makes certain every part is perfectly positioned. Then, they very carefully pre-fit the classic gull-wing doors. Finally, they bolt the fenders, hood, and other body panels into place. The completed body moves to the painting booth. There, they clean every inch of body surface by hand. Then both robots and men apply primer, paint, and a final clear coat finish. It takes about 30 hours to assemble and paint just one SLS chassis and body shell. It happens at a special factory in Graz, Austria. The finished bodies are trucked to Sindelfingen, Germany, on the outskirts of Stuttgart. This is the largest Mercedes factory in the world.
In Sindelfingen are working 28,000 people. You can pair it with a city. So compared to this city, the SLS production is only a tiny village.
The Sindelfingen complex is massive. The SLS village is set up in a tiny corner of just one building. Its total population, 140 of the best mechanics in the company. One of the most challenging jobs is building the SLS with gull wing doors. It's also one of their most rewarding jobs. Almost like building history. There is no denying the connection between the new SLS and the first Mercedes built with gull wing doors. The Mercedes-Benz 300 SL. The original 300 SL gull wing was also built in Sindelfingen. It was one of the fastest cars of its day. Mercedes decides to build a modern-day 300 SL. A second super sports car with gull wing doors. The Mercedes SLS AMG.
We wanted to make the new super sports car on a modern basis, reminding a little bit the old gull wing, but for sure doing the modern car.
The SLS is a completely new design from the ground up.
The feeling you get, first time you go into the car, you fire up the engine already there, okay, there's something going on, that's serious.
But serious doesn't mean it also can't be cool.
And then comes the idea, okay, maybe it's a cool idea to make a new car with the gull wing doors.
A cool idea, but a difficult one.
To assemble these doors to the body is a special challenge.
The original Mercedes-Benz 300 SL had a unique chassis and engine for its day. It was based on a Mercedes race car with a frame made from metal tubing, light enough for one man to pick up, yet strong enough to handle a 6-cylinder engine that cranked out 240 horsepower.
In the 1950s, that was the car to have, I should think.
The gull wing doors were no sales gimmick. The tubes of the 300 SL's unique frame ran so far up the sides of the car, there was no way to use normal doors. So they used what would become known as gull wing doors, hinged on the roof. The gull wing doors on the new SLS are also hinged on the roof. But the SLS is a brand new design.
Certainly we didn't want to do a retro car. We wanted to make the new super sports car on a modern basis.
This new super sports car would need power. Lots of power.
The engine has 571 horsepower.
0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. twice as fast as the original Gullwing. Top speed, 197 miles an hour. Base price, $183,000. The target for the SLS is to once again build the sports car of the future, today.
It will be the super sports car for the next couple of years, for sure.
The SLS is literally fast enough to blow its doors off. To meet modern safety standards, the new super sports car is designed to do just that.
In the case of a bad accident, we have to blow the doors away.
In this crash test footage, engineers test the SLS's key safety feature. If sensors in the car determine it's upside down, small charges automatically blow off the door hinge bolts.
A small explosion, you can say, yeah? And to hit a bolt, and then you can take off the hinges from the car.
For my team, I'm proud to say that these are the best workers. They are proud. They live the assembly of the SLS.
The SLS assembly line is small. So small that one crane does double duty. Bringing new car bodies into the plant and moving finished cars off the line at exactly the same spot.
We start the process here, putting the body into the line, and with the same crane we're putting out the finished car from the line.
But the crane has help. With classic German efficiency, there's an elevator that takes each new body to the first part of the line, upstairs. To maximize workspace, they've built a raised platform over part of the main factory floor.
Next from here, the car goes upstairs. Upstairs is where we take the doors off.
Taking the classic Gullwing doors off makes it easier to work inside the car. Once that's done, the car moves back downstairs.
These three stations are the first steps of the car. We bring in the wire harness, we bring in the fuel tank, and then the next station will have the suspension.
It takes 3 men working together to install over a mile's worth of wiring. Building the Mercedes SLS Gullwing is different than building the average car. For one thing, there's more than a mile of wire in the SLS.
If you compare it with the average family car, this car's got a lot more wire in it than most of you can imagine.
All the wire is just one example of how the SLS super sports car is built with race car technology.
We've got a lot of electronic systems in this car, and that needs a lot of wires.
Wires that help onboard computers control everything from a race car style transmission to a luxury sound system. They install the fuel tank at one of the first stations on the line. Like virtually all the other parts in the SLS, the fuel tank is a new design. Based on racing technology, it keeps fuel from sloshing around inside the tank. It gives the engine a steady fuel supply if the car is cornering hard or accelerating down a straightaway. Next, the SLS gets a suspension system that comes from the world of motor racing. A double wishbone suspension system at all four wheels. These two large metal pieces shaped like the letter A will hold a spring and shock absorber.
The double wishbone are excellent for the driving performance and for the handling.
Here, they use a special cart to complete the suspension system. A cart designed by workers on the line. It was their idea of how to make their work perfect. At the SLS Ultimate Factory, everyone understands a German expression. Perfekt ist nicht gut genug. Perfect isn't good enough.
For the SLS, perfect is not good enough. They are working every day to be perfect and to be much more than perfect.
The SLS suspension system allows engineers to build in maximum control over how each wheel independently reacts to bumps and cornering forces. And it gives an SLS driver maximum control over the car.
The speed you can do on cornering, it was unbelievable to me, and I can assure you I have driven some cars in the past.
Cornering hard or pedal to the metal. At the heart of the SLS is a one-of-a-kind engine. An engine built at the AMG plant in Affalterbach, Germany. About 30 miles northwest of the main factory in Sindelfingen. Here they have a special philosophy about how to build the engine for the SLS.
The philosophy we follow here at AMG is one man, one engine.
A simple philosophy with a singular goal: to build a perfect engine. A typical day here begins with one of AMG's specially trained technicians using a hoist to put a new engine block onto his cart. The new block is bolted to the cart. There's no sense of urgency. The pursuit of perfection takes time.
They are not really in a rush, not really in a hurry. They are given the time. The most important thing is, the quality must be right.
Then, in a process that will be repeated over and over throughout the build, a scanner connected to a small computer records the unique serial number of the block.
What we do with the tablet PC here is we're trying to guide the mechanic throughout the whole system, and all major parts are being scanned and compared to a bill of materials, so we make sure that every part that has to go into the engine is being put there.
They turn the engine upside down Remove the bottom half, carefully clean it by hand, and then one by one fit specially designed bearings that look like rounded metal clips into position and oil them. These bearings are just one of dozens of new parts designed for the SLS engine. Parts that are lighter but stronger than those used in previous Mercedes engine designs. With 571 horsepower, the SLS is the most powerful V8 of its type. The technician moves his cart to the next station. There is no traditional assembly line, just a large room where each man moves his engine to wherever he needs to go next.
He takes basically the engine block from station to station to station to find the tools, to find the parts he needs to assemble the engine, and at the end of the day he has completed his own complete engine.
The crankshaft comes next. It's a critical part of any engine. It changes the up and down movement of the pistons into a spinning motion that will deliver power to the rear wheels. It's positioned and installed as carefully as a jeweler handcrafting an expensive watch. The pistons are so finely machined, they almost look like fine jewelry.
Right at this spot, we're about to assemble the pistons. There's not a lot of automation going on.
One at a time, they carefully oil all 8 pistons by hand. Set them into position. And then hold them in place using bolts on the bottom of the engine. It's a process that's about touch as much as technique.
Putting the pistons into the crankcase is about the tactile feeling of the hands of the mechanic.
Then, the engine rolls to the next station. Here, a special machine will make final adjustments to the bolts that secure each piston to the crankshaft. But first, the technician uses his scanner to read a barcode on the machine. It's all part of the computerized information that's being compiled for each individual engine. By the time the engine's finished, AMG will have a remarkable, in-depth record of not only what parts were used, but precisely how the engine was built.
If you would print out all this data on paper, you get about 40 pages of information about every engine we have.
A computer screen verifies that each bolt is tightened just the right amount. But the final check will be human. As hands crank the engine and eyes watch the pistons move up and down. The next step in building the SLS engine requires installing the crankcase cover on the bottom of the engine. They position bolts by hand and then tighten them using a special machine that ensures a perfect fit between the cover and the engine. A new Mercedes SLS moves down the assembly line in Sindelfingen, Germany. Its next stop, gaskets to keep out the rain. Even something as simple as the rubber gasket for the trunk lid is installed by a team of 2 men who take their time to get a perfect fit. With the seal finished, they clean the trunk lid and get ready to install the rear wing on the SLS. At speeds above 75 miles an hour, the rear wing automatically pops up to create extra force to hold down the rear of the car and give its tires maximum traction on the road. So they check and adjust the fit of the wing. Then test how it opens and closes. On the first part of the SLS assembly line, the cars move forward. On the rest of the line, they move backward. The reason is simple. The factory floor is so small, it's easier to reverse direction than try to turn the cars around. A car in factory can be very high-tech and yet practical at the same time. One example is how they hold door hinges up while the car moves down the line. Rubber bands.
Sometimes high-tech and very simple tools are next to each other. As you can see here with the rubber band, it's not always necessary to use high-tech to build high-tech. In this station you can see the dashboard being integrated into the car.
It takes 2 men to very carefully move the dashboard into the car. Align it, and then begin the process of attaching all the screws and bolts. In the SLS, the dashboard is intended as a unique design statement.
You really get a feeling like being in an airplane. This starts with the dashboard, and then we have the air outlets, which also reminds us on an airplane.
Even the interior of the SLS is all about power. A gas pedal that controls 571 horsepower. And an audio system that would probably embarrass what most people have at home. You can get the SLS with a 1,000-watt amplifier. Feeding 11 different speakers.
Well, this is the station where we assemble the seats and we bring in this very famous grille with its very famous face of the SLS.
The SLS is a luxurious super sports car. Even the leather bucket seats are all about performance. The backrests are magnesium to make them light but strong. The front grille with the classic Mercedes 3-point star is moved into position.
I'm assembling the front grille of the car. So it's a very fast car. I guess what the guys in America would like to drive because the speed is incredible.
In 1954, the Mercedes 300 SL was the fastest production car Mercedes built. The new SLS is the fastest production car the company makes now. A special area inside the factory is dedicated to just one thing: connecting the engine with all the other parts that gets the power to the rear wheels.
This jig is built especially for the SLS because of its special powertrain. We call it the transaxle, built of the engine, the torque tube, and the double clutch transmission.
They place the engine on the front of the jig. A 7-speed racing-style transmission sits in the back by the rear axle.
In the SLS, the gearbox is placed on the rear end because it allows that we have a very, very good weight distribution between the front and the rear axle.
What connects the two is a remarkable feat of engineering. It's called a torque tube. The outside looks like a big hollow pipe made out of cast aluminum. It's strong and light and connects the engine in the front with the transmission in the rear of the car. But it's what's inside the torque tube that's amazing. A small solid rod designed by Mercedes race engineers. It's made from carbon fiber. This makes the rod extremely strong. It has to be. The rod is what transmits the engine's 571 horsepower to the car's transmission. But the carbon fiber rod is also very light, weighing less than 10 pounds.
This carbon fiber shaft weighs only 4 kilograms, and it's fantastic for the weight reduction.
A small hoist places the torque tube on the special jig between the engine and transmission. It's very carefully aligned and then bolted to the engine. The transmission is swung into place. Then bolted to the back end of the torque tube.
We have here 4 stations for the engine, for the steering gear, and here we put it together with the torque tube and the gear. I do all things here.
Then they bolt the exhaust pipes to the engine. A completed SLS drivetrain looks like a piece of mechanical art. Art that's enjoyed by everyone in the factory.
The best feeling I have, I sit in this car and I drive it outside. It's very, very fun.
Next, they move the drivetrain jig onto a special platform. It's the beginning of connecting the drivetrain to the car.
This is the station which we call marriage, and this is very important for life of a car, just to come together between the chassis and the powertrain.
A crane that brings new SLS bodies into the factory glides across the ceiling. In search of an SLS body that's ready to be married inside Mercedes' ultimate factory. crane carefully picks up a new Mercedes chassis. And moves it to where they'll marry it to the drivetrain. One man with a handheld controller makes it look easy. He lowers it to within inches of the drivetrain and then stops. The special jig holding the engine, drive shaft, and transmission is raised to meet the car. With everything aligned perfectly, a team of technicians begins bolting body and drivetrain together. With hand tools and power wrenches. The last step here is to install the SLS's powerful disc brakes. Another part of the car that comes from racing technology. These massive brakes combine iron and aluminum to dissipate heat. One critical job remains. The crane moves a new SLS back to the assembly line, where they'll install the new car's classic gull wing doors. It's not an easy job. Like a giant steel hand, a special device carefully picks up each door and slowly moves it into position. Even with the jig holding the weight of the door, it takes two men to position the hinges onto the roof of the car. For the doors to work properly, every bolt must be perfectly aligned and tightened. They connect two struts that look like bicycle air pumps on steroids to the front and rear of each door. Finally, they remove the jig, checking to make certain the door is secure and that it works and fits like a gull wing door should.
Gull wing doors are really special, but they are typical for Mercedes, as you know from the history of our car.
It's almost the end of the workday at the SLS factory. A crane moves a new SLS one more time. For the installation of wheels and tires. Then they polish and check the fit and finish before a new SLS rolls off the line.
I think it's quite breathtaking, to see it from the body shell, how it continues to see at the end of the day, I think one of the most beautiful cars around these days.
The SLS, the spiritual successor to the original 300 SL Gullwing. The latest super sports car to wear the fabled three-point star of Mercedes-Benz.